the record button. It shows a little movie thing up top, and it shows the seconds down below. All right, so you take your index card, and I'm going to tell you, like I told my middle school kids, how to you fold it. This is called hamburger style because it's the narrow, it's the shorter version. So make a nice crease here and then open it up. Okay? And open it straight up. So now you're going to go hot dog style because it's longer than hamburger. And make sure you're really close to your, try to make them as neat folds as possible. And I'll give you some tools in a minute so you can make nice hard edges when we do with watercolor paper. Watercolor paper is, of course, a lot heavier, a lot stiffer. If you were doing watercolor paper this size, it wouldn't work. It's too small. All right, then I want you to stand it up like a mountain. Okay, so you've turned it over. Now flatten that mountain. And you're going to take the outside edge and fold it toward the inside. You want it right up to that fold, but not over that fold. And then crease it really well. So it kind of looks like shutters opening. Hello. Okay. I know. Really. You didn't know you were going to do this, did you? Okay. Now you're just going to close it back up to your first fold, which was your hamburger. So I had it like this, and I just bring that back together and that one under. And I want you to turn it to where that the fold is facing you. The opening is away from you. So the fold is facing you. The opening is away from you. Mm-hmm. Okay, now pick up the pair of scissors that is somewhere near you. You're going to cut on that center fold just to the center of that paper. So from the fold to the center. Okay? Now I'm holding it with the two pieces like this so it can separate like this. So you hold the two pieces that you just separated and you bring them down like this and then you close it up. And you have a baby book. Mm-hmm. And each page is a double-sided page because of the way it's folded. Did it work?
I think it did.
Okay. Yay!
Yeah,
right? Yeah, just close it. And however you close it, then you crease it hard, whichever way it closed, and then you have a little tiny journal. So I was showing some students or some friends of mine, we were at Wild Acres, and they saw some of the journals that I had folded that was like this, and they said, "Oh, how did you do that?" Well, I didn't have another sheet of paper handy, but I had an index card. So I just pulled out the index card like I did with y'all just to show you how to do it. And then I made a tiny journal and I painted it. So you see how little you can go. This is at Wild Acres. Wild Acres is a retreat center that 3 weeks out of the year it has art classes, and this year the registration I've heard is going to be January 31st is when they're going to release when the classes are, and I go for 2 weeks in July, and it's all inclusive, $700.
Where is it?
North Carolina at Wild Acres Retreat Center.
And she swears it's not hot in July.
Oh, it is hot.
And it's great food the whole time.
They feed you.
Where do you stay?
You stay at the retreat center. You share a room.
And it's $700.
It's like a dorm.
Yeah, it's like a dorm.
Awesome.
It's the food, the class, and you take a class. You sign up for what class you want. The teachers teach from 9 to 12. You have lunch, breakfast, lunch, and supper, And then the rest of the day, you can the studios are open 24/7. So if you want to just inundate yourself with
Like
art.
Adult summer camp.
Yes, that's exactly what it
It
is.
is so awesome.
They have pottery, printmaking. Well, this is what they've had in the past. They have had watercolor. I haven't taken it. Pastel, studio painting, plein air painting,
They're photography.
textiles, photography.
Folk songs.
Yeah.
you name it.
Now y'all go at a different week than I have, so
Yeah.
I don't know if the whole thing is art when y'all go, but I mean for $700, can't beat it.
And the
So
name
I
of it
choose.
again was
So I choose to go
Wild
Wild
Acres.
Acres.
They have a website.
And I choose to go for the 2 weeks because if my husband said, if you're already up there, you might as well stay. And I think it's maybe $35 or $50 extra to spend the night on the night that you're not in session. You just have to take care of your own food. And hey, there's not a problem for food around there. So anyway, here's Wild Acres, July 21st, 2018. And then this is Penland School of Crafts, which is not far from there. This little thing right here, from here to here, is Edna Garrett. That's how tall that statue was. So you can't even, I don't even think you can see her. See how tiny she is right there.
Oh, I see her now. I didn't know what you were talking about at first.
And then we went to a pottery show. So those was some of the pottery that we saw. And then we went out to eat at the Tropical Grill, and it was yum. And then that's the view out our window. And this happened to be a box that my kneading eraser came in, so it's great for my baby journals. So if I want to travel really light, I can travel really light. Okay. So y'all understand this one. Now I'm going to show you how to do the big one, which requires scoring the paper, because if you don't score the paper when it's really thick, then it won't fold very well. So kind of clear your table off and pull out one sheet of your large watercolor paper.
And you know what, Kara, that's the only thing I forgot.
Okay.
I forgot my cover.
Well, lucky me, lucky you, I have extra.
Thank you.
Does anybody else need one?
You won't throw it out and left it.
Also buy, when you might not want this sheet, I might have just
I'm sure it'll be fine.
when you get rid of these boards, tear the front off and keep these. They're great surfaces to work on or to stick a panel on if you're painting with panels. Because anytime I paint with panels, I stick it to another surface so that I can pick it up and turn it and hold it and move it. So anyway, let me go get some. You will need the ruler that's in front of you and a scoring tool, which I have. Traditional scoring tools are like this. Let me move my stuff. Right now, hide that under there. Move it out. Okay. What did I just drop? A journal. I just make a nest when I teach. So, okay, so now I just hit it. Oh, I put it up. A traditional folding tool is made out of bone, and I don't remember how much these were, but they were too much. They cost me too much to buy enough for everybody to have one for class when I was teaching this before, because it's something that I don't use very often. And so I already had these tools, which are clay tools, and they do a pretty good job of scoring paper. And all y'all know what I mean by scoring, right? Maybe not. No. So I'll let you share mine, but use what you have in the house. You don't have to go buy everything that's. But pick one that you feel like has a sharp point to it, a good firm edge, and I'll show you what we're going to do. All right. It's kind of hard to see here because I zoomed. The only thing about this, it doesn't let me zoom in or zoom out while I'm recording. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I know I'm going to do that hamburger fold. So I need to find the half of my paper. Well, this paper, what size is it? How long? 15 inches? Well, y'all should know what half of 15 is, right? Right?
I didn't know there was math.
Oh, math, yes, math. Okay, if you're uncomfortable with just holding your ruler at the right place, I'm gonna just put a dot where the 7.5 is. But I love these rulers because I can put that dot on the edge of my ruler, and I know my ruler is straight because the grid of the ruler lines up with the edge of the paper. So if you don't have one of these rulers, I would highly recommend you get one because
Not starting out great here.
what is it?
I couldn't get the lid off.
Okay, you might not want to draw it with a pen.
Oh.
I would do
okay.
pencil.
Can I get a couple of pencils out of your studio?
Yeah, and I've got, in the boxes in here, I've got some mechanical ones that are already, yeah. I've got several of those. Look at the bags.
Oh, bags. Okay. There you are.
7.5. Somebody double check me on the back.
There you go.
Okay, so you can either draw the whole line or you can just put the dot where you know that you want to score and line your ruler up so that the edges, see how perfectly that lines up, and you can see, and if you want to go all the way to the red line, you can go all the way to the red line. But then you know it's parallel. See that math word, parallel. So once you get it lined up, you can either draw the line first if you want to, but if you hold your ruler really still, then just push, just run that scoring right up and down. And I'll let you try these too. But because I bent and scored the paper, it's now going to bend where I want it to. So fold it over and then reinforce that fold by dragging your tool.
Did you bend it with the ruler on there?
Well, you could, but score it
Did you draw a
first.
line first?
Already behind.
You can.
Put like 2 dots on yours? Did you draw a line?
You can draw a line or just put two, you don't have, you can draw a line or not.
And if you don't draw a line, you're taking this and scoring it?
You're going to score it anyway whether you draw a line. If you draw the line, you're going to just do that on top of the line.
Okay. So
Yeah, press, I'll hold it now, you just push it, yeah.
just doing like this?
So how hard do you push it?
You dent it, you're denting the paper.
Just doing it.
So then we
Yeah.
just line up and
Visualize it.
Yeah, you're just going to dent the paper. And so now, because you've scored, oh, let's score it harder than that.
Yeah, I had to press pretty hard.
Didn't use that,
What edge am I using right here?
doesn't matter, it's all hard.
Put it on there.
Yep.
Oh, mine didn't come out even.
How'd that happen?
It doesn't matter, we're practicing.
Okay.
Okay,
You
now
have to do it even harder. You have to
see how that, when you press up against it, how it folds?
Oh, cool. Here's your bone
Here,
back.
try this too. I want you to see the difference. Okay, so once you get it folded, then you take your tools and you reinforce that fold. You press it down and reinforce it. So you want to make sure that it easily goes back,
And that's just called scoring.
scoring.
Okay.
So now you open it up, you measure the other half, and you score that direction to get your other one going.
Oh yeah, that's better.
Okay?
Yeah. So we do that.
All right, so you've scored that, right? Are you going to score it? I would score it, well, that's not bad. See, when I hold it here and lift it up, it bends.
Okay.
So go ahead and lay it down,
You come straight from work.
reinforce it,
Let's see how that's working.
and then score the next one with this. Cut, so this time you're going to cut it in half. You're going to score
This way.
the hot dog way.
That way. Okay. So now.
Half of whatever, is it 11 inches?
Yeah.
So 5.5.
You're asking a lot for us to do math.
I know.
After.
That's so mean of me. Okay, so I gotta catch up with y'all. So half of 11, 5.5. So I'm gonna hopefully hold my ruler close enough and firm enough that I don't screw it up without having to draw the line. Whoops, I got off the ruler. And be sure every time you fold, ooh, yeah, that one's not exactly straight. That's okay. It'll make y'all feel better when mine's crooked.
Well, my dots are definitely off.
And then you fold it like a mountain. Remember that? And you can try to fold it without scoring it, but you'll see the difference of how it doesn't want to go in a straight line. It kind of crumples up, but you can use these tools to force it into place. And I kind of do that sometimes on this one just because I don't want to measure that much. So, and I don't answer that fine, by the way. So. Get this. See how crooked that is when I don't, y'all see how crumpled that is when I don't score it? You can force it, but it's just a little awkward. Now put it as a mountain, and then that forces you to turn it over.
Yeah.
Because because right now it's all been folded this direction.
Yeah.
And if you don't flip it as a mountain, then when you do the last part of the folds, it's like origami. If you folded it backwards the wrong way, then it doesn't want to go the way you want it to. So that the mountain just makes you know you flipped your paper.
All right.
You smash that down, and this goes
Comes in.
here,
Okay.
like shutters.
So we do the same thing with this to make it fold better.
Right, or you can do what I did, where you take it like here and you can match it, and you can press it down like this, and then force it. Okay. So that can save you a little time, but it doesn't give you sometimes that beautiful line. Okay. I think that's so funny you went to Texas Tech when I went to LCU.
Yeah, it's funny.
Small world.
I know.
So what brought you to Georgia?
My husband went into practice with another doctor here, but then he left that practice and opened his own. So.
Okay. Well, while y'all are folding,
Are we doing
we're going to do some.
now?
Now you do it. Because all of those folds were toward the center. Then you remember make a mountain.
The shutter.
And that mountain forces you to turn the paper over.
Okay. So.
Because you were doing all this direction.
Yeah.
Now you turn it over, now you press it down, you do the shutter. So if we can go around and introduce, y'all, I'm Carrie, I think you know me. I've lived in Georgia since '86. My husband was with Carlisle and Company Jewelry Store when we moved here, and then he shifted out. But that brought me to teach here. I taught at Hurt Elementary for 17 years in mostly self-contained and then gifted, and then I shifted to, I taught art in Rutland Middle School for 10, and then I retired almost 6 years ago. So I taught 30 years.
Wow, it's a long time.
Yeah.
Push yours off.
What you need?
No, I just passed it over.
Yeah.
7 and.
Yeah, flip it over and make the mountain.
3.5.
That forces
and
you
then
to turn your paper. Because all these folds were on this side, and then flip it
Which is
over, so
probably
these will
why I
be
got
going
this.
this way.
Oh, I gotcha.
So what you can measure it, or you can hold it really careful, like so, and then press
gonna go.
little bits down, and then take your tool and smash it flat. That speeds it up a little bit. Okay, so
After we did that and we get it to this point, then the cutting part, have we got there yet?
that's where we're going.
Okay,
You
okay.
take this, and then, so we put it like that. So you're gonna cut
Okay,
from
okay.
here to here. Okay, so yeah, just like that.
Really nerve-wracking to
Cut
cut
it
it.
right there. No one- Yeah, this is the most stressful you should get.
So cut it right on the line, just to the center of it.
Just to the center. If you go a little beyond that, that's okay. If it makes you feel better, some of the ladies didn't cut on the fold in the other class, and they had to start over. Well, that was on the little one though. It was kind of funny. That's all right.
This was harder because you had to do
Reminds me of those little things we used to make.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
fold and
Which you
like,
wrote answers in them.
Yeah.
do you love me, or?
Yeah.
What are those called?
I think I'm behind. Where do I go now?
Oh, you just take it like this and like this.
What are those
I don't
called?
remember what
Do
they're
you
called.
love me, yes,
It's,
do you
yeah, it's,
Y-E-S or something.
Oh, it's, yeah, it goes like this. What are they called?
I
I
don't
can't
know.
remember them.
I don't remember.
You taught middle school. You
I know. Out of sight, out of mind. Okay, so once you've cut it, then you want to, kind of let it separate, you do the split, so to speak, where you have one piece on this side, one piece on this side, and you're holding where you cut, and then you fold it down like this, and then you just close it up. Now some of it's going to be a little crooked, and that's okay. But then you really smash this back binding right here. And some of mine turned out really sharp. Now see, this one isn't so great. You see how this little jagged edge? But, I really don't care.
You have to really go at it hard, is what
Uh-huh.
I'm seeing them.
And if it really bothers you, you can get your scissors and you can trim some of it off, because it doesn't matter. It's your journal.
All right, let's see, it was like that, and then it goes in this way, is that right? No, wait a minute. It's like that, and then I scored those two.
And then you go back to your very first fold, fold it like that,
Okay.
and face the fold towards you.
But I haven't completely scored that yet.
Oh,
See what I'm saying? I mean, I haven't been it. I haven't scored it.
sorry.
So
Well,
now
you-
I need to
You
just score it like that.
right. Press really hard.
Do both of them go in, like shutters?
Uh-huh.
That's what I thought, okay.
Got an A. Got an A.
Do we have an overachiever?
That one.
No, not me. It was funny. I was like, good, we conquered this. See you next week.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, if that's enough, I'll see it now. But the thing about this is, you can make these for events, and of course, depending on, now, like this one, look how beautiful that one was folded. I don't know why it turned out better. I don't know. But you can also sew them together, which makes them a little more unique.
Now we're going too far.
No, we're not going to do it today, but I'll just show you, because I have one somewhere. You would get a sharp object. This is an awl.
And sharp.
And you would not put your fingers on the corner, where your binding is. That is not where your fingers go. And you would point, close, and push. Okay? That you start in the center and you go up toward the end. And then you would do about a half inch from either end. And then all I do is split the difference between the center and that. Kind of go in the center here. But in a minute, if I can find the one that I've already sewed. Oh, here it is. It's a smaller one. No, here it is. So I use dental floss because everyone should have dental floss. And you could use embroidery floss, but I have the large needles that if you want to sew yours together, you would just want to make sure to start from the outside, sew it in, out, in, out, in, out. And it just goes back and forth so that both of your end threads end up on the outside. And you do that by starting from the outside and coming in. And then you can tie them off. But it's kind of cool when it's sewn together. It looks a little more polished, yes. But a friend of mine had an opening. He had all these exotic fish in the house, and so he built this building in the backyard to put all his exotic fish in. And his wife was so excited that these fish were going to get out of the house that she gave a party for the opening of his fish house. And I mean, it was funny. But there was a red ribbon and everything. And so I went and took pictures while I was there. And then I went home and I did a journal, for this event. And so you could, it's really neat to do things that are just specifically for one thing.
Yeah. People just love it when you do that. and
Oh,
you
he
surprise
was-
them after
yeah.
they're over the-
Yeah. And kids, if you have grandkids, I don't have any, I have grandcats, but just the fact that you could fold something and make a book out of it, that fascinates them, and then they can color in it, watercolor, draw, but it's kind of like magic, I think. But well, your stuff.
It's just not. It's not like, I don't know how to scored it, but it feels like it's not ending. But there's a shutter.
It's right, we just
Have that here, and you gotta cut it. Just cut it first.
Okay.
Yeah. So what you're going to do next, this week is you're going to decide what do you want to do your class in. When I taught this at 5, 6, 7, each week we folded a journal, and so each week was what we learned that week. And so you have a little document of what you did. And some people like that. Some people liked the putting it in here, doing their notes and sliding their notes in here. So you already have a full sheet of paper that I cut that you could slide in there, and you could do your journal that way. Or you could buy one that's already made and do it as a learning journal. But whatever method it makes you more relaxed and more comfortable, or that you think you would be more user-friendly for you, whether it's to come back to it later or not, then that's what I'd want you to use. If like the last class, this was the watercolor journaling lesson 1. This would be your cover, and of course you would design it however you wanted to. And these are some of the things that we did in class. Quick. But this is lesson 1, and I'll put afternoon, so I'll know it's the difference between yours, and it also helps. Now this I'm going to do it this way because it helps me as a teacher to know how far I got with each class, because it's like, oh well, we did that, but we didn't get to this. So this is how I want to keep my notes. So y'all decide what method you want, so that you know whether you need to fold some more of these. You can fold them during class, or you can fold them at home. But if you did them at home, then you're not using class time. And if you want to cut up paper, I'll cut it up on my cutting board. If you just leave however many pieces you want me to cut, and you just put your name on one corner, and then I'll cut it for you, and it'll be the size that would fit in your little album, and then you would have that to work from. And if you want to do both, that's fine. You just leave. If you want me to cut paper, just put your name on the corner so I know who it belongs to, and then I'll have that for you next week. But that way we're not wasting class time cutting paper. We're not wasting class time folding journals. So does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. Which way are y'all leaning toward, or do you have
Do
it?
we all have to do the same?
No.
I want to do this. I think I like this.
Okay. Everybody can. I mean, yeah. You don't even